Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me. We'll look into some more MTG market movers for the week. And there's once again been some interesting movements, especially when it comes to the revised edition dual lands. Now, I'm keeping tabs on these because these are pretty much universal, but I'm also going to talk about used cars and other things at the end of this because I think I'm seeing some changes, or at least a flatlining for a lot of products, and that includes used cars, houses, and I think even stocks. There's a chance that they might flatline at this point. They might drop a bit further, but we'll get right into it. So the first one, Badlands. Jumping right on to TCG Player, we can see that the market is still moving slightly down, but as far as what you can actually afford or can get, you can get a near mint for $460 and lightly played for 456. Once again, a near mint is pretty much it's good for $4. Like that's crazy difference. Moving on, Bayou. Once again, it is slowly dipping down. On TCG, it's dropping quite a bit faster, but obviously this is the last couple of days. Moving in to see what we can actually get. A near mid for 469. That's still quite high up there. But once again, it's when the price has been stable and or high for such a long time, it takes a while for it to drop, and you're going to have trouble seeing it. And as I was saying last time, what you're probably going to see is some of these near mints and lightly played coming down to a more reasonable price compared to moderately played and heavily played. Those would still take a decent hit as well. Plateau, not plateauing. It's taken a huge dip as far as I can tell from MTG stocks. Moving over to here, no, it actually has plateaued. So it took a dip a while back. August 30th is the largest, the peak of or the bottom of the dip. But you never know what's going to happen. There are 10 lightly played for $351 available right now, and one near mint. I am noticing the listings are very low. There's a decent amount of cards available, but the listing number, how many shops are actually putting it out there, is actually quite low. So that's something to keep an eye on because that's something I'm noticing for houses as well. And obviously, maybe even used cars. Many people are just holding on and possibly they don't need to sell, but we'll have to see what happens in the next couple of days and weeks. Savannah, once again, heavily played $271, but then you got lightly played for 322 and near mid for 439. Once again, 6 listings. Not much out there. Scrublands, um, Scrublands still dropping over time. Lightly played for $314, not bad. Near mid for 422, quite a bit of a premium on that. Tiger, once again, moving over to TCG Player, starting to actually bump up, similar to Plateau. You can get a near mid for 480. Still feels slightly on the higher end compared to what I was seeing last week. So maybe there is some chance that people have picked up a lot of the bargains and just holding on. 14 listings. Now, this is quite a bit of a difference, but then again, the prices are still quite high and it's been flatlining for a long time. So some of these prices are skewed to probably the higher end because that's the ones that are still left on the market. You got a near mid for 574, and yeah, that's pretty much the price for the near mid. I had to go and check back on what prices I bought these in 2020. It's going to be very different, but at the same time, I feel the prices now are way more reasonable than what I saw last year. So there's a chance that they're getting close. Tundra, TCG player, says flatlined and after a big drop in September 20. We can see a lightly played for $489, near mid for 559 on the higher end. Underground Sea, I'm going through this pretty fast because I think most of these haven't really changed. The news that's been coming out in the last couple of days and last couple of weeks is more about stabilizing the markets than it is about bringing the markets down. A lot of the markets are already expecting a lot of bad news, so you might not see things drop too much, at least in the near term. Near mint $839 for an Underground Sea. That feels on the higher end still. Let me know if you guys have found any good bargains out there because I'm expecting there to be bargains at least as far as putting some effort in finding them. But when it comes to TCG player, MTG stocks, you're probably going to be fighting against a bunch of people looking at this every couple of hours, couple of days to just find a couple of different dollar differences and then they can buy them up and possibly resell it. But yeah, that works until it doesn't. And last, Volcanic Island, massive spike up. This is one of the few ones that has moved quite aggressively in the last couple of days and weeks. It says it's stabilized at a high price for most of this, but I'm not 100% sure if I can believe that. You can see it lightly played for $780. So moving over to MTG Goldfish for standard, we got an 8% drop for Meat Hook Massacre. Wedding announcement took a 13% drop to now set at $8. Meat Hook Massacre is obviously still $71, so quite expensive. The biggest gainers, Reckoner Bankbuster, $3.08, a 19% gain. Nothing has gained more than 10% for the week, at least as far as standard is concerned. How about modern? Okay, Ardent Plea. Impressive. 170% gain for the week to now set at $9.69. What does it do? It is one colorless, one blue, one white for an enchantment with Exalted and Cascade. Sure. Reki, the history of Kamigawa, 25% gain to now sit at $11.82. Do I have that guy? And then also, why is this guy spiking when he has nothing to do with the new Legendary Matters commander, which is in Mardu colors? Okay. Anything else above 10%? No. Okay. Well, and Untitled the Cloud Keeper from Kamigawa, $11.61, a 16% gain. When it enters the battlefield, it comes into play tapped. You may pay 2 to tap to add 2 to your mana pool. Spend this mana to only play legendary spells. Okay, that makes perfect sense. We have a Legendary Matters commander that just came out. Fury, 8% gain. Marlin Song, 7% gain. Marsh Flats, 9% gain. But, you know, nothing over 10%. The biggest drops. Dun, 2 blue for a fish for 1. You can't attack unless defending player controls an island. When you control the island, sacrifice Dun. Okay, sure. Well, I think I might have covered that last time. Anything else taking a huge drop? Liliana of the Veil now dropping by 70%. Let me check that version of her out, because I think that it was holding out for a while because the new Liliana and the old Liliana have different artwork. And obviously the old Liliana has better artwork, at least for some parts of it anyways. People might disagree, but it is dropping, and it looks like it's dropping at a reasonable pace in the last couple of days. So we'll keep an eye on Liliana and see if there's a middle price that people are willing to settle on for her. Season, Perverter of Truth took an 8% drop. Bloodchief Ascension took an 8% drop. Tarmogoyf took a 9% drop. Tarmogoyf you can get for $19.99. Maybe not a bad idea unless Jund just isn't doing too good in Modern, which could be true because there's a bunch of new Jund cards that are probably way better. Okay, and moving over to Pioneer. Gonti's Aether Heart, 1,042% gain to now sit at $11.83. That doesn't make sense. Why is that? It's 6 mana for a legendary artifact. That might help. When it enters the battlefield under your control, you get 2 energy. You may pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 energy to exile it, and then you take an extra turn. Sure, but then you need to play an energy deck. Is that in preparation for something? Seeker, God of the Tree, 21% gain to now sit at $8.99. That is actually quite impressive. A 20% gain for Erebros, God of the Dead, $13.98. Chromatic Ori got an 8% gain to now sit at $22. Chulane, Teller of Tales, 24% gain to now sit at $7.59. Are people just finding out that this card is insane? Okay. Villas, Broker of Blood, now 16% gain to now sit at $10.03. Arthur's God of Passage, 10% gain to now sit at $12.83. It's almost like people just found out the gods are really good. 8% gain for World Spine Worm, $11.10 card. The biggest drops, nothing over 10 cents, but Mox Amber is pulling back at 9% drop to now sit at $60. Old Norborn, 5% drop. Emrakul of the Promised End still dropping, negative 2%, nothing too crazy, sitting at $70. Kozilek, the Great Distortion, oh my god, that card used to be $40, but now it's a 7% drop, and I said it's $17.60. Archangel of Thune, $27.87, and now it's dropped by 4%. Ulmog, the Ceaseless Hunger, 2% drop, and I said it's $63.49. Resplendent Angel, 3% drop, nothing crazy. Great Henge, 2% drop. Soren, the Imperious Bloodlord, 4% drop. And Mystic Forge dropping by 7%, and I said $11.38. Crazy. Pioneer is where a lot of the movement is, but I assume it's all because of Commander, because that's how it usually works. Biggest drops, Badlands, 7% drops, and I said at 630. Okay, sure. These are still very aggressive moves, especially for Unlimited. Look at that, 46% gain for Tundra in 1 week for not Unlimited. Yeah, Unlimited. Is that correct? Who knows? Because I'm not 100% sure how much that actually gets traded. So maybe people are super desperate for it. And same thing for Vintage. Biggest drops, Chaos Orb, but 12% drop to asset then $1,649. Yeah. Then you got Chaos Orb from Beta now sitting at $6,500. So you can never be too sure exactly for these movements. Most of them belong to collectors anyways. So what did I want to show you? Okay, so let's have a look at the revised edition movement. You can see that the peak was in February, March, April of 2021, and now we are actually lower than we've ever been in the last year and a half for all of the revised. Actually, I take that back. We were lower just a couple of days ago, but now we're kind of heading back to that $6,250 for all of the revised edition. And don't forget, in about June, July of 2020, it was 3,700, so we're still almost double that for pricing of all of revised edition as Mtg Goldfish shows. But there are 59 cards rising and 36 cards decreasing, but the price change is negative $45 for, I think, the week. Okay, so last thing I wanted to cover was used cars market. Does this graph look familiar? Let me have a look. What days did I put it in? July 2020 to July 2022. July 2020 to... Okay, so what is going on here? You have a used car that took a dip in July 2020. You have a revised edition that actually increased a bit in 2020. And in October 2020, it jumped up a bit. In October 2020, the used car prices jumped up a bit. And then in January 2021, it jumped up massively. In January 2021, used cars jumped up massively. Now, do MTG cards and used cars have anything in common? I mean, they're not even made out of the same stuff, so no one can convince me that there is an issue with, I mean, other than the fact that maybe used cars are now collectibles. So what did change? So what happened is we had about, so they had the bailout for all the COVID-related stuff in 2020, and then 2021, the new administration came into power for the US, and they also had an extra bailout as well. Now, I feel like a lot of this has to do with, a lot of people say money printing, and that makes sense. But it doesn't make sense for everything to move up by the same amount all at once. Actually, wait. I take that back. That does. What I want to do is I want to talk to some of the other YouTubers that kind of say, the inflation's happened because of other things. But the fact is, if I ask them, hey, do you know what MTG is? And they're like, no, I have no idea what that is. And I'm like, okay, well, look at these two graphs and tell me which one is used cars and which one is MTG. They might be able to say, oh, this one because it's sharper. But the thing is, this looks about as fake as this graph does. And the reason why it is because pretty much everyone's money just got diluted by a reasonable amount. And now we're bringing it back. This is actually showing signs, because the used cars, you can see it actually is tipping downwards. So the peak was 47% just a couple of months ago, and it is actually dropping downwards. Now, what I'm expecting is over the next couple of days, or next couple of weeks, this is going to drop down and down and down just a bit, slowly over time, because people don't want to sell for less than what they bought it at. And don't forget, new cars are now take a long time to make, and they are more expensive than they used to be before 2020 because they just cost more money to make now. So I'd be keeping an eye on this. What I'm thinking is MTG is leading the way, and maybe crypto is leading the way of the MTG market. So I'm trying to figure out which one is front running everything. And it looks like the graphs at least show very similar movements up to the point of the peak. What happens after then comes to supply. And it's easier to get supply of MTG cards than I assume it is for used cards. But we're going to have to keep an eye on this, and this is just something I found really interesting, is that the graphs have a very similar movement. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one. And yeah, like and subscribe if you think this is interesting. See ya.